Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we have to do, I think now, a complete Elliott waves analysis again on XRP's price chart, because as I'm sure you know it, a lot has happened in the last 24 hours. So, are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about XRP, we were right in here, and the idea was that this structure is looking promising and we have to see another move up, but followed by that a move down, and we are not completely out of the woods yet. But I'm here to tell you, in the previous videos I was definitely more optimistic than pessimistic in XRP, and what happened? Well, as it turns out, I was 100% wrong, and for that analysis I would like to apologize. I mean, do not get me wrong, I still believe that having a massive liquidation event, like if you want to go according to this chart from TradingView, having from the highs to about here a 45-50% move down, still I believe shouldn't have been my primary case. But this once more goes to show you the price doesn't really care about your eye, or for that matter anybody else's primary scenario. The price does what it does. We are just here to analyze it, and sometimes naturally you are going to get it wrong. Okay, it's very important to understand that. And it's very important to have a sense of humility in the market, because if you're not going to learn your lesson, trust me, the market will teach you the hard way. So I'm very much comfortable now to argue, you know what, I was absolutely wrong. I would like to apologize for my analysis and just simply move on. And as long as you're actually managing your risk and you're not going all in one project, I think you were probably fine. And I mean, sure, if you had some leverage positions open, unfortunately, I think you got absolutely right. So, let that be a lesson for you. Do not use leverage in this market, and especially massive amounts of leverage. And actually, here is a very important point. You see, when we talk about big leverages, we are talking usually like a 1 to 20 leverage, 1 to 50, in some insane cases, maybe even 1 to 100. Now, here is the situation. Let's go around here. Whenever we are having a massive liquidation event, usually we are having like a 20% move on the downside, and by a 20% move down, those people who had, let's say, a 1 to 5 leverage position open, they are going to get liquidated. But for example, those people who have like a 1 to 3, 1 to 2, like much safer positions, they are still going to be alive in this market. And in XRP, pay attention to what happened from the highs in here. If you want to count this move down starting from this point to about the lows, we got a 50% move down. And if you go, for instance, on Binance's chart, and by the way, we are going to talk about what happened in Binance in a little bit, in there you got like a 60-80% even in some cases move on the downside. And what I'm trying to tell you is this: look, anybody who right around the highs have leverage positions open, even with like a very small 1 to 2 leverage, all of them got completely wiped out. So why is this important? The idea is that we are going to have big moves on the downside when a lot of people are having big leverage positions, and that will cause a liquidation event, which would further pull the price all the way back down. However, now I'm going to tell you, literally everybody got liquidated, and I don't really see any reason for XRP to go down big time. And I mean, sure, we are going to have some pullbacks. We are going to talk about it in a minute, but I think, yeah, this was probably it, the low of our whole move on the downside. And as long as I'm not seeing some strong moves on the upside in order to build the trust and people once more open leverage long positions, as long as I'm not seeing this, I don't really think that we need to go any more down that we already have. So having said all that, now let's go on daily time frame and see what is going on. And I actually saw one of the subscribers on my main channel said, why is it that I'm not doing XRP videos? Is it because I am scared and I am completely clueless about what is happening in here? You know what, maybe to a degree you are right, but I think that person actually wasn't familiar with my second channel, because I believe we are doing regular updates on XRP. Now, in Ripple, the idea was that we are having from this point a wave 1 correction for wave 2, good move up into wave 3. And when we were right in here, I was like, well, okay, if I just hide everything, we really do not have overlapping of the waves between our supposedly wave 2 and wave 4. So you know what, maybe this is a correction for 4, and after it's over, what are we going to have? You know what, another move on the upside into wave 5. And now we are not having that yet. Instead, we are having a massive move down, and we are clearly having overlapping of the waves. So I'm not going to fool anybody. This is not a 5 wave on the upside anymore. And what is going on here? Let's just delete all the waves and zoom in more. Okay, so here is the best that I can come up with. I think there's actually a decent chance that we had in here to around maybe this point a triangle structure into our wave 4. And if I just hide everything, there we go. You see, you might be able to argue that from the highs in here, this is maybe ABC down, ABC up, ABC down, ABC up, and another ABC on the downside, and this is yet another 5. This is one possibility suggesting, you know what, from the lowest low down here about 38 cents in XRP. That's right, I said 38 cents. We have completed a 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. And that, my friends, opens the door to saying, you know what, maybe the cycle in XRP is over. Now, is this going to be my primary case? At the moment, not really, but here is what I have to tell you. Chances of this scenario playing out, in my view, has increased a little bit in the last 24 hours. So I guess the question is, what is actually my primary scenario? You see, this is actually our alternate case, and in it, we were arguing maybe from the highs to about this point, about 38 cents, we are having an A, B, C, D, E in form of a triangular structure. Now, according to my primary scenario in XRP, I actually believe that maybe our correction ended right around these areas, and we are having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Was it on Bitstamp chart? I don't really remember. Nope, it wasn't on this chart. How about Coinbase? No, definitely not, because I think Coinbase actually delisted XRP back then. I don't remember. Was it on Binance? Yep, it absolutely was on Binance. So, according to my primary scenario, we are actually having from this point a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up in form of an expanding leading diagonal, followed by in here probably a WXY. I think back then we talked about the possibility of a double zigzag, and this is a 5 wave up. That's absolutely fair enough. But on a higher degree, the story is a bit different, because this can be a wave 1, correction for 2, 5 up into wave 3. And what is happening right now? Yup, we are probably having a correction for 4, meaning what's next? Yeah, probably another move on the upside into wave 5. And when I say this right now, trust me, I fully understand this is going to sound absolutely insane, given the fact that we literally got the biggest liquidation event in the crypto market history in the last 24 hours. But again, at any given moment, we have to be objective and be able to come up with a bullish and also a bearish count at the same time. And I showed you the bearish scenario earlier, suggesting this is a 5 wave up and on a higher degree is into a wave 5. And this is a triangular structure. Basically, that scenario suggests that the cycle is over, and this is the start of a bear market, and this is our bullish count. And right now, at least, I would say probably my primary count suggesting 1, 2, 3, correction for 4, and what's next? Yep, another move up into wave 5. And here is actually one very important reason for why I believe most likely the cycle is not over. You see, in XRP, from the highest high in here back in 2017, we had about a 7-8 year consolidation pattern. This was an absolutely annoying 8 years. And whenever you are having long-term drawn-out correction structures like this, these actually do have a habit of leading to absolute massive explosions. And in XRP, what have we done so far? By like the smallest margin, we just managed to take the highest high in here back in 2017, about 3.6 cents. And what happened? We got an immediate move on the downside. So Based on this, I really have a hard time believing that the cycle is over. Most likely this is just a correction structure, and after we are done with it, we are going to have some more moves on the upside, and I still fully believe that a $7 to $10 XRP is likely in the cards. So if you want to be bearish in XRP, I'm not really sure if you are in the right channel. I mean, we are going to talk about the bearish counts, but my primary case is still going to remain the bullish one. Now, let's talk about Binance a little bit, because in the last 24 hours, I seriously believe we had some big manipulations. And for instance, in XRP, where is the low in this shadow? It's all the way down here, about 77 cents. But when you go and check some other charts, for instance, let's check out Bitstamp. This is about $1.6, and trust me, Binance is like a much more liquid and deeper exchange than Bitstamp. So why is it that in Binance we got a massive move down to about 70 cents? This does not make any sense, and Bitstamp is not alone. How about TradingView's chart itself? As you can see, we got to about 1.4 cents. How about Kraken? There we go. We got to about 1.4 cents again. How about Bitfinex? Nobody is looking at Bitfinex, and even the low on this chart is about $1 and not the 75-77 cents one in Binance. This, my friends, is absolutely bizarre, and I do think last night we had some massive manipulation on Binance going on, and that's why I want to say in a lot of altcoins that we got some insane moves on the downside. For example, if you check out Gallo's chart, where is it? Let's just real quick go on Gallo. There we go. As you can see, this is from the highs to about the lows, about like an 83% move on the downside, and this absolutely, in my view, is not normal. I mean, look, one of the bigger events that we had done this was April 2nd, Liberation Day, and I think you all remember it, right? Let's summon more and see where is April 2nd. There we go. And from here to about this point, we got a 25% move down in Gallo. And trust me, Liberation Day was like a much bigger of an event than just one simple tweet from the President of United States. On April 2nd, we literally tariffed the whole world. But last night, President Trump just had one tweet and said, on November 1st, we are going to apply a 100% tariff on China. Now, do you think they are going to do that? I don't really think so. And I think on Twitter, I said, look, I think I just came up with a great narrative to create positive vibes come November 1st. And I think that's actually going to be it. On November 1st, you are going to see another beautiful taco trade. And that will probably once more create positive vibes, which will send the price higher and higher. And that will probably be another great narrative. The point that I'm trying to make is this. Moves on the downside like this in such a simple event are absolutely not normal. So I'm going to say a good portion of these shadows most likely are not real. And why do I care about this? Because this actually affects my analysis big time. You see, the idea is whenever you are having massive liquidations, you are going to get a very quick bounce, but that's just going to be a dead cat bounce. In fact, after this move up is over, the idea is that you are probably going to get a deep move down in order to either get quite close to the lows, or maybe in some cases even take them by like the smallest margin, and the next move is going to be your real strong bounce back. Now, in XRP, since I believe this shadow is not really real, well, okay, I'm gonna say, yeah, you know what, fair enough. Probably we are going to get a pullback soon, but I do not expect XRP to go all the way down here about $1.3. I think we are going to get a bounce. And for example, here is one scenario you can consider in this area, having a WXY in form of a double zigzag, but I think a decent target for it can be somewhere around like the 2.2 to about $2 region. And I don't really believe that we are going to go a whole lot lower. And in fact, I actually forgot to tell you this. Let's check out Coinbase's chart. You see, in Coinbase, the lowest low is right in here about $1.8. And I think this is actually a much better chart. So if you are going to get a move down, guess what? I think we are going to probably retrace to about a Fibonacci level. let's say to about the 61.8%, which is giving you a $2.1 XRP. And I do think that's quite realistic. And then we can have another bounce, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by a correction down. So what's the conclusion in here? In XRP, I think it is still a little bit too soon to be completely bearish and call the cycle top with a whole lot of confidence. Sure, the recent phase down that we got in the past 24 hours definitely increases the chances of cycle being over, but I think a good portion of this move happened as a result of some manipulations. And I'll be honest with you, in around the markets, I don't really see a whole lot of topping signs, so it doesn't really make sense for me to consider the top being in as my primary case. I still like to be bullish as long as I'm not proven otherwise. And when is it that I'm sort of kind of going to be proven otherwise? Let's go on crypto.com chart. You see, we talked about this level back then when we were having this move down so many times between 1.6 to about $1.8. I think as long as we are staying above this unbelievably strong support area in XRP, we are good to go up, and most likely the cycle is not over. On the other hand, God forbid, if we see another strong move down in order to get a break of this level, at that point, I'm going to change my opinion a little bit. And I'm going to tell you, you know what, maybe the cycle is over. And according to my primary scenario, we are going to, at that point, continue our move down big time, maybe even reach to about the prior lows all the way down here about, let's say, 30, 40, 50 cents. But as long as we are staying above here, nope, I'm not going to flip bearish anytime soon. And I mean, sure, give me like a very strong bounce and a very strong parabolic rally. At that point, trust me, I'm going to change my tone a little bit. But again, in this phase, I have to see XRP at $7 to potentially $10 first, and then we can consider the top being in. Bottom line, I do not believe any of the structures in here overall suggest we have completed our cycle. And also, more important than that, Bitcoin doesn't really to me suggest that. And if you want to know more about what is going on in BTC and the whole altcoin market, I think you need to actually become a member of my main channel, because in there today I'm going to do a market update and tell them what might be the next likely move. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in XRP's price chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.